What it is? How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about public domain. We're going to talk about all of the stories, film, music, TV, who knows what else that's out there for you to even use for your own art purposes. Talk about all the things from ragged stories to good ones, bad movies that have been made, great movies that have been made. Who knows? And the only way for you to find out what we have to say is to sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and listen on in to the first ones to die.
Hey everyone, welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. My name is Jonathan. I am here with Alex and Jerome. Alex, how you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. It's not been a bad day. It was a little slow at work, so I kind of just did really nothing. But other than search like the topic we were going to do today. So that's what I was doing at my paying job.
Nice.
Yeah.
And has your week been good?
Yeah, like I said, there's nothing been too exciting this week other than the fact that we recorded on a weird day the last episode.
It's like this is like the closest I feel like we've recorded back to back.
It's thrown us out of whack. Yeah. No, that's not true. The closest we've recorded back to back is on the same day, doing two at the same time. Doing the same day.
But still, I now feel like I'm seeing you guys too much. It's like too much. See you guys in the same week. Saturday, which will have already passed, but Saturday I am going to the Flower and Garden Expo. With Lauren, and I'm super excited for it. We went, I think it was either last year or the year before. Time is weird. And it was really fun. You get to see all these really beautiful designs that people use for, with flowers and designs. And then there's also all these amazing plants that you get to buy and stuff like that. And I'm looking to refreshen my herb garden. The ice storm took a lot of them out, except for the mint. But mint is an invasive species and it will live no matter what.
Well, it sounds like you have some exciting plans. It sounds like you've had a pretty good week. Jerome, can you say
Jonathan, how are you doing? What are you up to?
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to throw that out.
Jerome said, forget about me. What have you been up to?
Is there something I don't know about? What's going on, Jonathan?
I don't know. Is there? But it's interesting to go second because I feel like I usually cap it off. But my week's been pretty cool. I went to San Diego on Wednesday for work. It was my first time in San Diego, and it was cool. The drive down was pretty easy. The drive back up was not because we were in traffic, but it was fun. It was a cool day. The day before that, I was walking to my car. I posted this on Instagram, and all of a sudden, I see Zed.
Wow,
the DJ.
Cool.
Yeah. And for those who are listening to the audio, I put up a picture. And of course, Zed, baby, why don't you just meet me in the...
I mean, if they don't know who Zed is, they're not going to... You singing a song ain't going to help them. They're just going to be like, okay.
Well, no, not entirely true. You know the songs, but you don't know the people.
That's
me totally.
I guess that's true.
I know songs. I don't know people anymore. I used to, but so it's useful.
But that's the interesting thing of working in Hollywood. You just never know who you're gonna run into.
Yep, you meet all types of people.
Mm-hmm. A couple weeks ago, James Charles came into the attraction, and it was interesting.
Was he shining? Did he have all the glitter on and everything? Was he just shiny?
Well, you think about that. I'll be right back.
Okay. Alex said this conversation is getting derailed, so I'm gonna have to leave. Any mention of James Charles, I'm gonna have to bounce.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, it's been a cool week. Jerome, how has your week been?
I don't know. I
You
wasn't
didn't
really
have something
there.
special saved?
No, no. My week was fine. I didn't really do much. I've been kind of getting prepared to do more D&D stuff because I'm in a D&D mood. Been coming off of Legend of Vox Machina ending. It was a fun season. I'm excited for season 3. But also been watching a lot of Dimension 20 too. So, got a lot of D&D content going on that's giving me a lot of ideas of stuff to do for my own campaign that I'm running. So, got some ideas. But also saw still loving Last of Us. I think it's really exciting. I can't wait to see how the show ends, especially because I'm like we have a
No
lot to go
spoilers.
through. Yeah, we have a lot to go through and minimal episodes to do it, I feel like, but I'm trusting the writers. I mean, they got the original writer from the video game helping with the writing for this show. So I trust them to figure out the way to kind of make it all fit in, because it seems like they're doing the first game for the first season. So I'm expecting them to hit that landmark at the end and hit the ending pretty strong. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the next episode. And also, I've been meaning to tell you, Jonathan, but I keep forgetting because there's like other stuff I'm doing or watching. I started watching Abbott Elementary. I'm all caught up.
Hey,
So
all caught up. Oh, you're better than me then, because
I'll listen. When Wednesday comes, I'm hitting Hulu watching Abbott Elementary, and I got my girlfriend into it because she wants to be a teacher one day, and so I was like, "Babe, this is a show for you." Because Janine reminds me of her so much in so many ways. Not every way. Janine's a lot more clingy and like and it causes more problems than she solves a lot of the time. I'm like, that's not my girlfriend. But the best parts where she's very caring, she cares about the kids, she's a great teacher, that stuff, I'm like, that's you. So
Aww.
But she loves it too. She loves the show. So I'm really enjoying Abbott Elementary a lot. So I've been watching a lot of just really decent content to just fill up my time, and excited to see Ant-Man and the Wasp. There's already been a lot of chatter. By this point, it's like the opening weekend's passed by the time this comes out, but been a lot of chatter about Quantumania because it's supposed to be the big one because Kang's in it and all that stuff. So I'm trying my best to avoid the internet so that I don't get spoiled, because I'm not going to watch it this weekend. I didn't watch it this past weekend. Me and you, Alex, we'll get a group together and we'll watch it together sometime.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see it, and I have heard really great things about it too.
See, I'm hearing
like
middling things, and
really, I've heard like really
yeah.
positive buzz. Like people are really enjoying it. They're having fun, and then Paul Rudd's just like my collars bother me. Paul Rudd's just fun to be like a fun actor to watch on screen too. Like he brings so much to his characters, and it's always just a little always comedic. So like I'm excited to see him in this. I really enjoyed Ant-Man. Like I know it wasn't the most popular Marvel one, but it was like one of my
the
favorites.
Ant-Man movies. I don't think I really like the second one as much as I like the first one, but I really like the first one a lot.
I wanted to learn sleight of hand magic because of him. Those like couple scenes where he's just doing it, I was like, that's really cool. I want to do that. I never did.
But so far, the positive things I have heard about the movie is that Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors are great in it. Which Jonathan Majors is great in anything he's in. So I had no doubts about that. But also I was like, this is Paul Rudd's character. Like he's been Ant-Man for like 5 movies now. Like he's got this. Speaking of Jonathan Majors too, by the way, I'm excited for one last thing I'm going to talk about is well, I am excited for Creed. He looks good in Creed. But there was a movie that was at Sundance where he plays like a bodybuilder. I forget what it's called. I think it's called Magazine Dreams, I think is what it's called. I'm excited to see that. I can't wait to when it comes out. But it's like he plays a bodybuilder. A lot of people compared it to like Whiplash, but with bodybuilding as opposed to like jazz drumming. Like it's that level of descent into
like how far will you go?
Yeah, like the descent into madness for success, like kind of like Black Swan too. So I'm curious to see it. I'm like, Jonathan, and anything Jonathan Majors is in, I'm watching. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, it's sold. I'm getting a ticket. I'm coming to see the movie. So
I love how like there's always certain actors you will go to a theater for. Like, I don't care. They're in it. I'm going. Let's do this.
yeah, that's how Denzel was for a lot of people. When Denzel watched his name's on the movie, I'm buying the ticket. The movie doesn't look good. I don't care. Denzel Washington's in it. I'm coming to see it.
That's true.
Exactly.
Speaking of fictional characters, though, we're going in.
You wanted to.
It wasn't as good as the last one.
It was not.
Yeah, the other one was better.
But it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, we're talking about public domain today, mainly because if you listened to our last episode, we said we were going to be doing a review of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but that was before we realized how hard it was to see the damn movie. Because I think I'm the only one that actually watched it.
I saw that on Wednesday. It was like released everywhere, so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's on a Wednesday. It's getting released in all these places, so I just assumed that would, continue throughout the weekend, but it didn't.
No, it was mass release for one day, and I only knew that because Ari was asking. She wanted to watch it with me just to spend some time and like do date night, and she was like, she's like, well, when are you going to see it? I was like, well, it comes out and this was on Wednesday. I was like, it comes out today, so let me look at the count. Like, let me look at it, and then I was looking at showtimes. I was like, well, all the showtimes are at 7 at all these theaters, but I'm kind of tired. Like, let me see what the showtimes are for the other days. So I click over. It's like all of the movie theaters just disappeared. I was like, what the hell is this? It's like all of them were gone.
And then I looked up to see if there was a streaming option, but it's not streaming.
No, I did too. That was my next thing. I was like, please, can I just stream it or something? Do I have to go to a movie theater today to see this movie? And so it's like, and we ended up going at one of the AMC's at 7. It was the only mass release was on that Wednesday. And then I think Saturday, it'll which will be passed by the time this comes out. But the Saturday is when it's mass release again for some reason.
Okay, maybe we could still do the review.
Just a little later.
Yeah.
I got actually a little sick on Wednesday, and I was like, all right, I'm not even gonna bother looking up movie times. I just want to be in bed. And that's when I messaged you guys, or when we started talking about it, I was like, yeah, I'm going to actually try to just watch it early on or later on Friday between work and this. And then learning all that, I was like, what in the hell? Where did the movie go?
Yeah.
And there was so much about it being released and oh, this is Winnie the Pooh Dark Side. I was like, oh, it's probably going to be everywhere. There's probably going to be a quick showing I can go to somewhere at the AMC near our house. And nope, it was just gone.
Well, without spoiling the movie, I can tell you didn't miss much. All right.
It doesn't look like much is missed, but it's still the whole concept of.
Well, it's just it clearly the movie didn't get past the concept. It's Winnie the Pooh and Piglet murdering people. That's it. There's no, but the problem is there's no plot. There's no rhyme or reason for anything that happens in the movie, and characters make decisions that are so dumb, you can't possibly believe that these people have made it to adulthood without just without risking their lives every day, because it's just ridiculous. It's so bad. And it's not bad in the way of oh man, this is kind of funny how bad it is, because the cinematography, really decent. There's some great shots in there, and some of the editing's pretty solid. The practical effects are pretty good for the blood and gore and stuff. They use a lot of CG blood. And the CG looks terrible. You can clearly tell they had no budget for the CG. But the practical effects and stuff, even the costumes of Pooh and Piglet, look really good. They look really decent actually. For a low budget film. I was thoroughly impressed. I was like, that's actually pretty good. But everything else is terrible. The acting's bad. The characters don't make sense, and you barely give a crap about any of them. They make dumb decisions, and the killers, Pooh and Piglet, their rhyme or reason for being killers isn't there. You don't even know what they want or why they're doing what they're doing. You get
Wait,
some
are they
slight hints.
humans in costumes, or are they
No,
just like...
it is Pooh and Piglet, but grown up now. Like, the idea is like Christopher Robin as a kid, they were the Pooh and Piglet we know them from the book. Then, like 20 years later, they've now gotten bigger.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like the idea, like, because Winnie the Pooh characters were the imagination of Christopher Robin. You try being wished into existence by a child and then left to grow as this mutation. He's a giant ass teddy bear.
That's the
At
thing,
any
though,
time
Alex.
he's
I
like,
wish any of that explanation was there. Literally, Christopher Robin in the movie constantly just scream, well, like as the atrocities happening, he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And Pooh and Piglet don't talk, so literally, it's just him saying that for the entire runtime of the movie. Every time he's on screen, why? Why? And I'm like, yes, bitch, why? Like, answer the question. Why are we here?
I'm looking at some of the imagery. Piglet is like an actual like hog.
Yeah. He's like a warthog, yeah. With tusks and everything.
Wow.
That was a...
Yeah, because literally when I realized yesterday, I was like, okay, because I got off work early today. So I'm like, maybe if there's a chance I could watch it before the podcast, like after I get off work. Nope, I would have to be watching it right now when we're recording, because we're recording on Friday, and the only times that this is playing is at 7 p.m. each day.
Yeah, so it's just it's if you I would say this, if you want to have a vague laugh, it's not laugh out loud a minute, but there are some goofy parts in it that can make you chuckle for sure. And if you're like looking to watch a B movie, I would say wait till this comes out on streaming and then watch it. Don't spend your $20 to go to the movie theater because it's only evening showing, so you're not getting to pay at least if we were paying matinee price, I would say go see it. You have to pay evening price to see this. Don't waste your money to watch this movie. This is a YouTube short film that just so happened to make its way into the theater. That's how I felt the entire time watching this movie. Like, it's well shot. It's well edited. I love the practical effects. I think this person, I'm sorry, I don't know the director's name, but I think this director has potential to be a good horror movie director, just if he had a better script. So that being, like, I think,
Reese
pros with the cons.
Waterfield.
Yeah.
His directorial debut.
Yeah. So I think if he had like a better script with some real characters and some really decent actors, he could make actually a pretty decent horror movie. It's just that this ain't it.
It was written, directed, and produced by him.
That's what I'm saying. Don't write your own stuff no more. Like, some people can't be writer directors. Some people are just really good directors, and just like some people are really good writers. Like, it's hard to do both. It is. I've done it before. Trust me, it's hard.
So it's basically just deranged fan fiction.
Yeah, is basically what it is.
Yeah, because fan fiction never comes with like a plot or anything. It's just like this weird ass story like that they pulled out in the middle of like a show or a book or something. So you just paid money to see a fan fiction on screen. Yeah, I'll wait till it's streaming.
But in honor of that movie, because all of us couldn't watch it, today we're going to today I don't know why I can't talk right now. Today we're just going to talk about public domain stuff. And we'll also define for those who do not know what public domain means. We'll get into it. In fact, if we go ahead.
I was just going to say this relates to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, because famously this movie was created because Winnie the Pooh was formerly not in the public domain. And the second it became a public domain title, this movie was created. If it was still under, who owned it previously? Okay,
I think they did.
I think they had a majority of the rights because everything was sold under Disney for Winnie the Pooh. I think they had probably a majority of rights.
And I thought they were going to retain it because they made that Christopher Robin movie. That was the whole point of making that Christopher Robin movie, was to retain the rights.
Could retain the rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this movie wouldn't have been made under Disney. And for anyone who essentially wants to know what public domain means, I have a definition, but Jerome did.
No, go ahead, Jonathan.
Okay. So basically, the term public domain refers to creative materials that are not protected by intellectual property or IP laws such as copyright, trademark, or patent laws. The public owns these works, not an individual artist or author. Anyone can use a public domain work without obtaining permission, but no one can ever own it, which means since Winnie the Pooh is now in the public domain, we could get together and create a new movie or song based on Winnie the Pooh, and no one can sue us for it because nobody owns it anymore. Famously,
I can say I openly have never wanted to create a different version of Winnie the Pooh, nor like anything like I've never had the thought of for Winnie the Pooh. I just want to put that out there.
Right. But it's not just like titles or characters that are in public domain. Songs are in public domain, like the national anthem or Happy Birthday now. Happy Birthday used to be owned by, I think, the writer's family of Happy Birthday.
The black version is owned by Stevie Wonder. He owns that.
That's why up until like, I think it was like, maybe it was like it was definitely less than 10 years ago that Happy Birthday came into public domain, because up until then, anytime like Happy Birthday would play it on TV or in a movie, that those people would have to pay rights for it.
Interesting. I was like, so audience, we're going to go through some public domain stuff that we've maybe seen, or stuff we think should be in public domain, or stuff that is in public domain that hasn't been turned into a movie yet. That'd be really cool to see. And just have another whole conversational episode. Which surprisingly y'all really like. Like most of our conversational episodes, or First Ones to Die talks about segments, actually do really well. So you're welcome. Making lemons out of lemonade.
They're interesting topics. Internet is even worse today than normal.
Right. And you don't have to have like watched something in order to engage in this conversation.
Now, funny enough, a character, because I'm looking at 14 famous movie characters that are in the public domain that I would love to see. That's the article anyway. But there's one character on this list, and I'm like, I want to see this character in another movie that's not made by the company that's already making the movies, and that's Thor. Thor, the version of Thor that's in the Marvel films is technically not based off Norse mythology. It's based off of the Marvel comic books version of Thor. So technically, anybody could make a movie about Thor as long as it originates from the Norse mythology. I don't know why I can't speak today. Norse mythology version of Thor. I would love to see somebody do a Thor movie who's not, just to compete with, I don't know, Marvel's Thor. Because Marvel's Thor at this point is like, I hate to say it, he's an idiot. Like, he's so bad. He's so dumb. Also, Alex is gone now. No!
I think, did she hop off? Or I think she might have hopped off.
Maybe. I don't know, actually. That's true. But yeah, I would love to see Thor used in other properties. I mean, we already got like God of War Thor in the God of War video games. And he's pretty cool. There's a pretty cool version of Thor. But I would love to see, someone do like a movie about Thor, or a movie about just Norse mythology and what their version of Thor would be. Especially because in Norse mythology, Thor's kind of a jerk. Not in a Zeus level way. No, well, Norse mythology is a little different. Like someone broke it down too, because they were talking about God of War, how in the God of War series, like the Greek gods are like awful and they just pick on humanity because they can. The Norse gods, all their stories about how the Norse gods pick on other Norse gods. Like all their fighting is infighting, as opposed to just like destroying humanity or picking on humanity because they can. It's like, no, it's more like they hurt each other. So you could do a really cool Norse gods movie that would be very like insulated.
that's kind of what they did a little bit for the new Thor movie, Love and Thunder, was that they showed Thor being, the sweet one, kind of trying to help everybody out, and all the other gods were just being assholes
Right.
and mocking everybody. Yeah, so they kind of did that.
So I just think that'd be cool. But mainly that's just because I love mythology. So I would love to see Thor.
I would
used
love
in
to see a
other
version
versions
of
the movie.
Loki. Because Loki,
Yeah.
the trickster vibe is still there, but like he's so much different in Norse mythology, and he's so much more powerful, and he does so much more different things that it'd be interesting to just kind of see what they could, show from the actual mythology of it.
Did you guys know the Superman 1940s cartoon series is in public domain?
Yes. It's awesome. First of all, if you haven't watched that original cartoon, it's good and still holds up today. I love the animation for that cartoon. And it's classic Golden Age Superman. Jump a building in a single bound, faster than a locomotive. Yeah, I think the special thing about that cartoon was there was no dialogue. It's just like Superman, like it started the same always. Clark Kent would walk out of a building, something crazy would happen, and then Superman would be like, "This looks like a job for Superman." And then he runs into a telephone booth, turns to Superman, and the cartoon starts. That was the only piece of dialogue you got. That and also it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Like that's it. And it's classic. I love that cartoon so much.
I saw on this list of things that are entering public domain this year that the jazz singer and Dracula the play, and the jazz singer the film, which is the first ever talkie film, so the first ever film to have recorded dialogue. Those are entering public domain as well.
Interesting.
That's really cool. You don't think about the older films like that. I always have this weird assumption that they're already public domain because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Most of them a lot of studios still want to hold on to a lot of those old movies in case anyone ever uses them for anything.
Mm-hmm. The jazz singer is Warner Brothers.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. I guess it used to be now. Well, no, Warner Brothers still created it.
But you know what it is though? A lot of that old stuff, like public domain, like being released into public domain, makes sense because it wasn't until when it comes to media, a lot of people have to remember that for a long time, the idea of product behind movie was just that it was just the movie. It was just that. Like the movies would be made or TV show would be made, and then what comes next is making like a DVD or not even a DVD, like a tape or something or whatever. Then you get to like the Star Wars era, where Star Wars, in fact, that's one of the biggest deals of all time, where George Lucas, when he made Star Wars and signed it to, I forget who owned Star Wars back in the day, but when it was being released, he signed a deal that basically to the studio that they were like, yeah, we own the rights to Star Wars. And George was like, that's fine. You can have the rights to my movie. I just want the merchandising rights, which was the rights to every toy, product, t-shirt, all the product, t-shirts, lunch boxes, everything. And they were like, okay, sure, have at it. Like, what? Like, you think anyone's gonna buy any toys for this stupid sci-fi movie you made for a low budget? That because no one had faith in it at all. They thought it was gonna bomb.
The actors didn't even have faith in it, right? They
I think Mark Hamill was into it, and I think Harrison Ford didn't really have faith in it. I think he was just because he was just friends with George Lucas because he had done I forget what the movie he did with him before that was called, American Graffiti. He had done American Graffiti with George, so they were friends.
Oh,
but I don't think he had faith in Star Wars. But they it blew up, and became Star Wars, and George made millions upon millions of dollars off of all the toys and everything else. And so ever since then, Hollywood does not bank on, it doesn't matter if the movie looks like it's going to fail. We don't know what's going to be popular. We want those merchandising money. So it's like, it's interesting to think about old movies back then that realistically should be public domain, but because of how studios operate now, they want to hold on to anything and everything because they never know what could come back and make them a good chunk of change.
Isn't that why we got like 20 different Cinderella movies almost every other year? Does
Yeah.
Disney still hold the rights to Cinderella. Yeah, because there's so many. They're like, why do you keep making Cinderella movies? Yeah. Because they can keep those rights.
Wait, I was gonna say, because I was gonna say Disney, all of the Cinderella stuff that's been released has been Cinderella, but it hasn't. Because Amazon, the Camila Cabello one, Amazon released that.
Well, there's like, Cinderella is probably one of those ones where there's a lot of, like, much like Marvel, how like Marvel can only make their version of Thor. They can't, they could make a Thor movie like regular, but they only make that version of Thor. Same thing with Cinderella. I think Disney owns the rights to the fairy tale version of Cinderella, but not the premise. So you can make a Cinderella movie, it just can't be like
just
fairy tale, like, yeah, you know what I mean? It can't be that, but it can be, take place in the modern.
Y'all went along with that. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's also, I knew it was Mary Poppins. I just kept going.
I didn't even realize. I started.
You're thinking, no, you want bippity boppity boo.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't even notice. I was just like, oh yeah.
I was on a roll, so I was just gonna keep going.
I
thought
didn't
to myself,
even
I'm like,
hear
wait,
it.
who sings that song? No, that is an entirely different character. Or the Brandy version.
Still Disney though, I think.
The Brandy.
Yeah, Brandy's still
version.
Disney.
Impossible. That's still Disney. Which they're making a new one that Brandy's going to be in.
Interesting.
Like not a new Cinderella, but it's one of the the Descendants movies.
Oh yeah.
They're making like a spin-off of that. She's gonna play.
All right.
Well, I say the Descendants movies look stupid. I haven't ever watched one of them. We'll always say Disney's music is still so good. It still holds up. There are a couple songs from there I have on my playlist. Like, they didn't need to hit that hard. Those are good songs. I was like, what the hell, Disney? How are you doing this?
Speaking of adaptations, The Little Mermaid, they are hiding that movie. I don't know why, because the movie comes out this summer and they still have yet to release a full trailer. The only thing they released was their big game spot for Super Bowl, and even that was only 30 seconds, and you could barely see anything.
That's what I'm worried about this movie, that it's going to be super dark, because every like trailer or scene that I've seen, it looks almost pitch black going on.
It does look. I was like, yeah, where's the color? Like, everything's muted, and I'm like, you're underwater. You have the resources to make this bright and colorful, especially because you're dealing with a character with bright red hair.
Well, Deep Sea is dark.
I guess, but I'm like, here's the thing, Jonathan. This is a fictional world. Mermaids don't exist either. Nor do talking crabs and octopus women. But they are in this movie, so put some color in there.
You
got a point there.
You know what I'd actually like to see? I'd like to see Mary Poppins. I mentioned Spoonful of Sugar. So let's just keep going with Mary Poppins. I'd like to see Mary Poppins enter the domain. And she's like an action superstar, and she's played
by
Monet. She's
something different. Change it up.
Right.
I bet you actually
like
that now.
Okay, but here's the question: how is she
enough.
Mary Poppins then? You know what I'm saying?
Because she has the umbrella, it shoots bullets. She still does like the.
But Mary Poppins.
Where's
the Banks family come in?
Well, that's
no. The movie's
side quest.
Mary Poppins. We don't need the Banks.
Yes, you do. That's a part of the book.
Well, are the Banks? Well, anyway, the Banks can be in it, but like they're just like, look, I haven't thought it fully through, but you
well, the Banks can be side characters. I mean, it's how you actually do. There's another way to skirt around public domain.
Mm-hmm. Like someone's
by
trying to go
the
after
story enough, yeah.
Because aren't they rich kids? So like, there's someone who's trying to abduct the kids. So Mary Poppins is trying to save the kids, and in order to do that, she needs to stop the bad guys. Boom. Write it.
I just love the idea of your pitch of Taken, but with Mary Poppins. Like, I have a particular set of skills. If you give back the children now,
crazy bag with
it'll be
everything in
over.
there.
But if you don't give them back, you're going to see me fly down. And I'm going to rain down hot vengeance down upon every last one of you sons of bitches.
It just needs to say that exact dialogue.
There we go. See, look, you guys are already writing it. It's perfect.
Look,
And she has her bag of magic
recorded.
tricks too.
It's recorded. So if we see Amazon or Netflix steal this idea when Mary Poppins enters the public
you think
domain,
Disney will ever let that go? That one they paid for personally. They are not going to let anyone make any more Mary Poppins content.
Walt Disney himself probably.
There's what was the other one? It's like TV tropes. There's a lot of ones that you'd expect to be on here, like friggin' the Canterbury Tales, Alice in Wonderland. But then there's some on this. I'm looking at a list from TV tropes of public domain. Some of them are really specific. Like this one, John Carter of Mars. It's only the first 5 books in the US are public domain. But then the entire series in Europe, apart from Spain, the UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and Mexico, can use, or the EU, they can use the entire series. Spain especially, they can't use any of it. It's like, why is it so specific per region?
Actually, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is the same way. It's a book I'm very in love with. In the US, you can actually use it a certain way and it's fine. But in the UK, the family still owns, or the publishing company still owns rights, and they can't do it that way without approval first. So, yeah, I was like, that's really weird. So I could create something as long as it stays in the US. Cool, I can mess with his book and his story. But once I go outside the U.S., then it's like, no, you can't do that. That's illegal.
You'll get arrested.
I'll get arrested from, I don't know who arrests copyright people.
Man, yeah, there's a lot of these that I'm like, we've seen so many versions of them that I'm like, I don't want to see another movie. like Pride and Prejudice. I'm like, we've gotten enough Pride and Prejudice movies for one lifetime. Like we don't need to do no more.
The concept of Pride and Prejudice too is tiring. I think the only Pride and Prejudice I like is the one. Oh hell, I can't remember any of the actors' names now.
Keira Knightley in it.
Keira Knightley. I like that one. And I think that's the one they did good. And then after that, they've gotten weirder, and then they tried modern versions, and it's like in a modern
Pride and
setting.
Prejudice and zombies. So.
I actually really love that movie, and I do own the series. It was weirdly good. So judge all you want. I enjoyed it, but like
I don't think it's bad. That's a different version of it.
There's judgment in your eyes. But like we were discussing, there's other rom-com stories, or there's other romance stories to be told. You don't need to keep using the plot line of Pride and Prejudice for every love story you see in the modern day era. Even something else. There's got to be something else.
I think we need a new and updated Peter Pan, because Peter Pan, I'm seeing, is in public domain.
You say that, but then you forget about the movie Pan.
That's why I say we need an updated Peter Pan.
That movie proved we don't need no more Peter Pan.
No, you need a new one for like a palate cleanser
to wash your mouth.
Just done right. I remember watching the one in early 2000s.
I remember that one,
and I loved that one as a kid.
It was good. I watched it in theaters. I remember that movie.
Same.
It was actually pretty decent. It wasn't like, the only problem is it was forgettable. Like, nobody talks about that movie anymore unless you saw it, which is kind of a shame, because I'm like, it was actually pretty decent. It really played up on the idea of Tinkerbell too, like liking Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
I think Disney, they're releasing it's either a Peter Pan.
It's like
or
a version of it. It's supposed to be like take place after Peter Pan's already come through. It's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be more about Wendy than it is about Peter Pan.
Okay.
From what I've heard.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know Yara Shahidi plays Tinkerbell.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like kind of like a sequel, as opposed to, it's supposed to be like Cruella, basically, where it's like it's its own thing. It's not a remake of the movie.
This is actually a really good example of how, like, even in the same story, two characters can actually be one can be public domain and one can't be, or don't have to be anymore. Peter Pan is. Tinkerbell actually isn't. Her character is still owned by Disney because they kept putting out shows much longer after Peter Pan of Tinkerbell and made her own world and everything like that. So Tinkerbell is actually not public domain. And it's the same way with The Wizard of Oz. Like, each individual character is its own right, and one can be public domain, one doesn't have to be. But I think they're all public domain now. I think all of Wizard of Oz is public domain now.
It says here that the first 20 books in the Land of Oz series and an additional 7 that failed
20
had the
books
copyright
in
renewed.
the Land of Oz.
Holy
So
hell.
check it out. Yes, here's some. It's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, The Marvelous Land of Oz, Ozma of Oz, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz,
Ozma of
or
Oz?
Dorothy and the Wizard in Oz. So yeah, Ozma of Oz, that's one. The Road to Oz, The Emerald City of Oz, The Patchwork Girl of Oz, TikTok of Oz, The Scarecrow of Oz, Rinky Tink in Oz, The Lost Princess of Oz, The Tin Woodman of Oz, The Magic of Oz, Glinda of Oz, The Lost King of Oz, Handy Mandy in Oz, and Queen Zizi of Ix. Which, mind you, these are I don't know what Ix
the
is.
last one?
Queen Zixi of Ix. I pronounced it wrong the first time.
What is Ix?
I don't know.
Is that the alternate universe?
That's the
of
other
Oz?
place that's not Oz, I guess. I don't know.
That was like ick, like gross ick.
No, Ix.
That's how it's
IX?
spelled?
IX.
Ix?
Yes.
Oh, IX. I was hearing it. I was like, are they talking about whole world being like ick? Like, I'm going to a world like, ugh.
Where you have the ick.
Do you have the ick?
Here's the thing. No one can get the amount of Oz, like, it can get through, like, all of the Oz stories because they keep messing up the first one. Remember when Disney tried to do Oz the Great and Powerful? And it was like, what are you doing? Just make the Wizard of Oz.
Is that the one
Yeah,
with
what?
James Franco?
Yeah.
I saw like half of it. It was bad.
I think anyone who approaches the Wizard of Oz is too hesitant to create just a remake of the Wizard of Oz because of the the iconicness of the original.
The original. I mean, like, you got the Wiz. They kind of matched it.
You have the, but that's not a remake of the Wizard of Oz. That's an adaptation of the Broadway.
That's
musical.
true. Yeah, but I mean, you're Wicked also. Nice
Oh, this-
adaptation of the Wizard
I
of
would
Oz.
love to see
I think it
Wicked.
stands on
Yeah.
its own pretty well as a
Mhm.
nice like piece of Oz, even though it's not necessarily canon. It is like it's a nice like matchup to like Wizard of Oz.
Now they're coming out with the movie, which is going to be
Yep.
2 parts.
If James Corden is in it, I'm telling you now, it's gonna fail. Even Alex
Even
knows.
James
That's why
Corden.
she got booted out of the street.
I don't think he's in it,
I don't think so.
but
either.
he might find a way. to get in it.
James Corden will just like pop
James
up at
Corden
the
needs to
last
be
few little
stopped.
bit.
My internet's just the worst tonight. Just the absolute worst. This is really just your guys' show going on. I'm just like a guest star at the moment, popping in and out.
You're a recurring guest.
And when
star.
when I heard James Corden, I willed my internet to be stable for just a moment, so I could tell y'all he needs to be stopped. He needs to be stopped.
Needs to be stopped.
I understand he can sing well enough, but like, stop putting him in the musical movies. Stop it! You're killing my movies. I love musical movies. You're just destroying them for me.
like there are certainly people talented enough in his same like archetype that can fulfill the roles. Why must he be the only like person of that archetype that has to be in all the movie musicals?
I don't know, man.
It's
Here's the
enough.
thing. I feel like somebody could make a good version of the Wizard of Oz in the modern day. Especially because we have the technology to make it bigger and grander than even the regular version. Still make practical effects. Do not make a CG Tin Man or a CG Lion. Cats learned that lesson for everybody else in history. At this point, any person, I feel like if you're in a studio and you're just like, I want to make the lion live action using CG, I feel like someone should stop and be like, stop, watch Cats. Then
You know
come
what's-
back and
what
tell
I-
me that that's a good idea.
You know what an actual thought I had when I was watching that movie? Mind you, I was a little drunk. I thought in my head, I'm really happy Snowball wasn't alive to see this movie.
Oh my god!
I was like, because we have those Instagram stories where we're like, not while she's alive are we gonna watch this movie, and like it did happen, but like it was like that. That's how bad it was. Thank God one cat's not around to see what her species has been turned into.
I'm just saying, like, it's just I don't do that, but have like some live action Tin Man, live action Scarecrow, live action Lion, but in costume, and then of course Dorothy. But you could really make Oz look really cool and big and grand with like some really cool CG effects mixed with some practical effects. Like if Steven Spielberg got a hold of Oz, I feel like he could make a pretty dope looking Wizard of Oz.
That's fair because he did remake West Side Story and that got a lot of good.
Yeah,
it was pretty good.
And West Side Story is like a classic. I feel like with Wizard of Oz though, they would have to do something completely out of the box, like something that has never been seen before, because that's what happened with the first movie. You go from black and white to Technicolor, and it's like that amazed people when they watched Wizard of Oz for the first time. So I feel like there would have to be something with like the technology or something just really innovative that they do for the movie that would.
Well, you could do aspect ratio. That's something they couldn't do back then, was aspect ratio, where you make it like a 4:3, and then as soon as you get some Oz, it widens out, and now we can see the entire like screen. You could do something like. In fact, actually, Oz the Great and Powerful. That was one of the things I thought was cool. They did that. The beginning of the movie is in 4:3 aspect ratio, and then when he gets to Oz, it widens out to 16:9. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it goes from black and white too. But I'm like, we've done that before. It's like, this is new.
Or you know what they could do for the first part of the movie when she's in Kansas, it would be black and white, like you're watching the normal movie, and then once she gets to Oz, you have live actors. It's a play. You have sets. You have costume changes. Boom. And you can only watch, but it's like nationally broadcast to all of these theaters nationwide. You can only watch it at certain points. So you would go in being like, why can't I? It would be like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Like, why are these showings only at 7 p.m.? Why can I only watch these shows at 7 p.m.? Yeah. But then when you watch it, it's like, oh, it's in black and white. Oh, these people are actually acting right here. Okay, yeah.
You're just pitching doing it live on like Fox or something. So then they put it on a syndicated network. Like how they did the Wiz live.
Oh yeah. They did the Grinch
just
live.
With the extra
I think that
movie
was where
part
I saw
in the beginning.
Yeah. I think there's a lot you could do, and there's so many stories. I think if somebody actually adapted the real first book, because I don't think The Wizard of Oz is actually the first book of Wizard of Oz. I think it's like the third or the fourth one. I recall.
No, it is.
So I think
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is the first book. Yeah.
I thought I read something where it was like the second or the third one even. I'm gonna jump to a new character. Sticking with the weird, going back to a little bit of horror. The Headless Horseman. I would love for a good adaptation of that or a remake of that.
Crane.
Yeah, every time I see a version of that of Sleepy Hollow, it sucks. I've not found a good one yet.
Did you like the show?
Didn't that show run for like 10 seasons?
It did.
Yeah, it shouldn't have. A lot of the shows that run for 10 seasons should not run for 10 seasons. I don't understand how, because I never heard anybody ever talking about that show ever. I never heard anybody saying it. I never saw promotions for it.
There's a lot of Fox shows that are like that. They just run for a while, and you're like, who's watching this?
They just
my
exist.
Bad. It only ran for 4.
Wow.
Still, if
it feels like 10,
it ran for 10. Yeah. But like every time I see a version of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane, The Headless Horseman, they just suck, and I'm always so disappointed because I'm like, the story is really cool, the thought of it is really cool, at least I think so, give me like a decent version or something. Give me something spooky, and it can be a classic story. Spooky too.
I mean, you already made our version of Creature of the Black Lagoon, Alex. That could really work.
I think the one I'm thinking about that ran for like 10 seasons is Once Upon a Time.
Yeah. That's another one where I was like, who's watching this?
Didn't the main character dip
but
too?
It was very
she
popular.
left in the last 2 seasons. Yeah, but she
Snow White
the main character. No. No. She was like the mother. I think her name was Emma. I'm gonna say it was Emma, but chances of me being wrong are very high.
Once Upon a Time stopped being Once Upon a Time and started being, what's the Disney characters we could pull into this thing? Because Once Upon a Time at first was like, hey, it's, fairy tale characters. I mean, it's made by Disney, so of course we're going to use like our versions of the fairy tale kind of, but it's just going to follow fairy tale tropes. And then it became, I don't know, man, we're on like season 10. Screw it. Cruella, get in there. Like, that's not a fairy tale. Shut up.
They brought in
We're
Elsa
using Cruella
too.
now. Yeah,
they used Frozen, Elsa, yeah. And I was confused
like,
about that.
I'm like, doing?
Not that long ago.
I remember, so for an acting class that I took, our instructor, she we selected scenes from Once Upon a Time to like perform. It was between Once Upon a Time and another show, or like a couple other shows. But the scene that we picked was from Once Upon a Time, and or maybe all of them were. But that's beside the point. So our instructor, whatever scene we picked, we had to watch the whole series up until that point, so we could gauge the context of the scene. And I'm like, this makes no sense at all.
That seems like torture.
Right. And the seasons are like 22 episodes long. So and an hour long at that, or 44 minutes or whatever. So I'm like, I gotta watch all this just for this one funky scene that we're about to do. And my scene was like season 2, episode 3 or something like that. I'm like, I'm not watching all this. I'll watch season 2 and then just get the gist of it.
What? Watch the clip notes. Like,
right.
From what I recall from that show, it was like, I think I watched like the first season and I was like, what the hell's going on? And they made the like family dynamic really complicated. Like, everybody is somebody's grandmother, somebody's related to somebody dated somebody. And it's like, y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all hitting on incest. Like, getting kind of close to it at certain points. Y'all need to pull back there for a second. I think fairy tales kind of need to die a little bit when it comes to like storytelling in films. Because people are like, oh, we're going to use a weird version of a fairy tale to make this movie. Or we're going to do this. And it's like, but we already kind of saw something similar or even close to this. Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you got to do something fun. Like, I'm still waiting for somebody. And if it needs to be me, I will try and scrape up a budget together. But I'm waiting for somebody to make a adaptation to one of my favorite comic books, webcomics, which is Pinocchio Vampire Hunter. I want to see that movie or TV show. I don't care what form it takes. I want to see Pinocchio snapping his nose off and stabbing vampires with it like a steak, because that's what he does in the comic book. Like, it's a cool book. Then there's a whole like group of puppet vampire hunters. Like, it's awesome.
Is Pinocchio public domain?
Yes. I looked it up. He is public. That's why Guillermo del Toro did his version of Pinocchio and released it last year. It's getting good buzz, too. I haven't watched it yet, but I heard it's amazing.
Yeah, it's nominated for the Oscar for animated film, and it won the Golden Globe.
I think it'll win the Oscar. From what I've heard like the level of stop motion in it is just like unmatched.
Yeah.
And it's just a really good movie in general. So I'm betting on it to win the Oscar.
Yeah.
Another, like, the thinking of fairy tale, well, not fairy tales, but tales in general. One I would like to see, Beowulf. I'd like to see a redo of Beowulf. I feel like it wasn't a fair shake. Like,
is it public domain?
Mm-hmm. The Robert Zemeckis version, because I'm like, the Robert Zemeckis version is when he was like on that thing of like the uncanny valley excuse me, like animation, you know, stuff he did for like Polar Express, but with Beowulf. And I was like, man, this ain't Beowulf. Like, this,
I remember
it's trying to be.
watching that in high school. I feel old. I watched that in high school. We watched it in English class because they're like, it's a Beowulf movie. And we're all like, why is this so creepy though? We'd rather just read the book.
Yeah, by the time I hit high school where we actually read it, my teacher was like, do not watch the movie. It is not good. It is not worth your time if you like this story. And so I would like to see a redo of it because you could do so much cool stuff with Beowulf. Like, and it's an epic tale. I mean, like, hell, put the director who did The Green Knight on it and it'll be a dope movie. Because I love The Green Knight and how epic that story was, like the film version of it. So I would love to see that director take Beowulf and do something really cool with it. And A24 would do it too, because it's right up their alley to make that type of movie. They made The Green Knight, so I feel like they would be like, yeah, Beowulf, screw it, whatever. We'll take it. Is it weird? All right, we'll take it. Let's go. It's what we do.
I'd like to see, you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see Frankenstein, but as like a coming of age story. So Frankenstein,
like Frankenstein, a teenager. He built a son.
Yeah, like or.
Well, now you're just making Frankenstein Pinocchio.
No, but
you're not wrong.
Or Frankenstein builds his monster as like a high schooler, and he's trying to fit into high school.
He builds a friend.
Isn't that like Monster High?
I don't know all the details of Monster High, but
I think I've seen that character. Like it comes up because I watch Paramount and Monster High's on there, and they'll show me the previews, and they have a Frankenstein on there.
Oh, okay.
Which I never actually questioned that they made him. I'm like, oh, it's son of Frankenstein. So I never questioned that, but I think that would be pretty interesting. I think they could redo all the classic horror films. Like, I do and I don't. Another version of The Mummy.
Well, The Mummy isn't public domain. I want it. That one is owned by Universal.
I want it because I love the story. I love the original movie and I love the Brendan Fraser movie. I don't want it because of what Tom Cruise did to that movie.
To be fair, that's not Tom Cruise's fault. Tom Cruise just acted in that movie. He didn't produce or make that movie. Universal made that movie.
In the movie. Well, Universal and Tom Cruise. I just blame Tom Cruise. As I've said, I'm not a fan of his face. And I watched that movie and I had to stare at his face.
Listen, like that man brought back cinema for the masses.
Lately, every time I open up fucking Instagram just to post something, maybe look at a few things, there's some shit like that on there, and it makes me not want to open up Instagram. Like for like a week total is all these actors, directors shit talking Marvel, and I was like, okay. Then it was like the guy who in the movie talking about being anti-vax. Great, like all this stuff, and then it's like now it says, and it's like, oh my god, can I not just open Instagram and see like a cute puppy anymore?
No, it's all discourse now. It's all chaos.
It's ridiculous.
I also wish, in looking at some of the other titles that are public domain, and this is probably the last one that stands out to me, but Alice in Wonderland. I'm surprised that nobody has especially like streaming service has like picked that up into a series. I think that would be really cool if HBO.
I'm really surprised no one's picked up the version. Any of you ever played the Alice games?
No.
Alice is.
Is it Alice in Borderland?
No, that's a different thing. That's a manga turned into a show.
Okay.
No,
because I've seen that on the Netflix homepage.
Yeah, it's good though. I like Alice in Borderland.
Is it anything like Alice in Wonderland?
No.
Okay. It's just the title is a play on it.
Yeah. I mean, there's like references, but it's not really supposed to be like Alice in Wonderland. It's just they're references for the sake of being like, hey, Alice in Wonderland type references. Ha 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 ha. But no, there was a series of games called Alice in something. but it was like they were like gothic Alice in Wonderland games, and they were really creepy. Why are you smelling books, Alex?
I can't help it. It's the smell of the book.
That's
It's
that's up there. It's up
a
there, but
thing.
not as intrusive as when you ate your microphone.
I think it was my sister laughed. She's like, you can see your thought process. She's like, you look up and down quite a few times before doing it. I'm like, yeah, and it's all on camera now. But like, no, I mean, if you have an older book, you should sniff it. You always should sniff your older books because they smell good.
You
And
got
this
all
book
up
is
in
very
there.
well loved and used. Yeah, you have to get in
But-
there.
It's
Anyway,
it's a
sorry,
really
Jerome.
it's basically like if Wednesday Addams was Alice in Wonderland. Basically, it's what it is. Like the Cheshire Cat's all dark and creepy. It was a creepy series of games, but they were very popular. Back in like the 2000s, they were on PC. I'm surprised no one's picked that up to make into a show, but I guess a lot of video game stuff has kind of been slowly making its way into like TV or like other media versions. Last of Us is like the most recent one, but. You're right. I feel like it's because everyone still has a bad taste in their mouth from the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland movies that we've gotten recently.
I actually
I
didn't
never
mind
liked
them.
First one
any of
wasn't too
them.
bad. The first one
I did-
wasn't too
Yeah,
I
bad.
thought
I like
all
the
of them
first
were like, it's not that they were bad. I just didn't really care for them that much.
Helena
Yeah.
Bonham Carter, her Queen of Hearts. I can still visualize that image of her with the big head.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, it's like there's some stuff that just for some reason doesn't land. Like Tarzan. Any of y'all watched the Alexander Skarsgård Tarzan movie that came out like how many years back?
I forgot that. No, I'm thinking of a different one.
No one will beat Brendan Fraser.
No. Yeah. Well, that was George of the Jungle.
That's George
That
of the
was
Jungle,
a different story.
but sure.
That was a
I always
different story.
forget. I always forget.
I mean, it basically is Tarzan.
It pretty much is.
Yeah.
I mean, but no one will beat Phil Collins. Like,
Exactly.
and then that Tarzan music alone makes that movie a classic. But the
I
movie
know.
itself is a classic. Like, you can't beat that version of and it's because it's just the book, virtually. I mean, there's some changes here and there for sure, but for the most part, that is Tarzan.
That's
Like,
up
you're not
there.
gonna top that.
I love Tarzan. I remember seeing Disney on Ice when I was a kid, and Tarzan was one of the characters.
Did they have him shirtless on the ice?
I
Or was it a costume?
I don't remember, but I want to say it was because I remember I had one of the collectible books. I want to say he was wearing like a leotard that was just like flesh colored. You know.
Okay.
I feel like you had to because it's cold.
Actually,
like,
no,
skating
I
around
wanna
the ice
say-
at the big arena.
Actually, I want to
Marina's
no.
cool.
Actually, he might have been. He might have been shirtless.
I'm about to say, because that's messed up. They're like, he's like, can I please have a suit?
it's like
something.
freezing on
No,
that
you
ice.
get your shirtless, sexy self out on that ice and you skate like, looking like Tarzan. Tarzan don't wear no shirt, so you don't wear no shirt.
I'm pretty sure
Get
that's
out there
what
and
it was.
skate.
I'm
I'm
pretty
hoping
sure.
he wore pants because Tarzan wore a
No,
wore a
I think that's what it
loincloth,
was.
right?
Because I think that's what I'm thinking of. Like up, like the bottom up, he was exposed, but the he had the loincloth.
You mean from the waist up, no
That's
shirt.
same thing.
Waist down, had a
waist-
loincloth.
Waist down had the loincloth
or
and the,
something
and the,
like that.
and the leotard, like the spandex, like leggings that blended
Oh.
in
Oh.
with the skates. You know.
That still
How
feels
do I
like
remember
cruel
this?
because it's freezing out there.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, that's messed up. They got him
Yeah.
out there freezing.
Still feels cool.
What was I saying?
We were
yeah,
talking.
I-
We were just
yeah.
talking about Tarzan.
Sorry.
I loved Tarzan as a kid. Probably one of my, especially the Phil Collins song "You'll Be in My Heart." Y'all ever heard the Usher version of "You'll Be in My Heart"?
No.
Listen to
No, I
it
want to
after
listen
this
to it now.
episode ends because it's good. It's really good. Actually,
Mhm.
yeah. Once we stop, I'm gonna play it for y'all.
Speaking of Disney movies that I'm like based off public domain stuff, because it's like Treasure Island is public domain. Disney made Treasure Planet though, which is based off Treasure Island, but it's just Treasure Island in space. But I want to see another Treasure Planet. Y'all making all these live action movies of movies that don't need to be remade, and y'all going to avoid Treasure Planet? I know it didn't do well in the box office when it came out, but dang it, that's why this is a chance for it to redeem itself. A chance to do it again.
Literally, the fans have been asking for it ever since Disney started doing live action remakes.
That's what they should be doing, is remakes of the movies that didn't succeed the first time. Because now you can do something different with it and make it cool and interesting, and maybe people will gravitate to it more now that it's like
and they
had
can
some
even
time.
put it on Disney Plus.
That's true too. They have a streaming service,
You can
but I
add
don't know.
whatever
They might
they
cheap
want.
out on the budget though if they're putting it just straight to Disney Plus. Like if it's a movie, they're
Even
gonna put some money
Disney's,
into
like-
it.
Right.
Even Disney's cheap projects are still pretty well funded.
Right. Because
Oh, I
So-
guess that's true.
they're not doing Treasure Planet, but they're doing a spin-off movie of the white guy from Aladdin, that the character that they added just for that movie.
Right, he wasn't even in the original Aladdin. They made him up for that movie.
Was there a big fan base for him after the movie came out? I didn't hear it.
Wait,
know,
wait, are
man.
you being serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the list. That's on the
Wait.
list.
I thought that was a joke. I've heard that.
No,
I assumed that was a joke.
Now, granted, it could always be canceled, and they haven't filmed a single piece of imagery yet. But that is on the list, supposedly, is that they're making that movie.
What is it called, Mark?
Like,
Like, what the fuck is that? I honestly thought it was a joke because it sounds ridiculous enough. I was like, oh, people are making, funny about how, like, people who get, the movies that get sequels. I didn't know that was I've heard that for a couple years. I didn't know people were being serious. I genuinely thought it was a joke this whole time. What the fuck?
I wish it was.
Also, I've never seen Treasure Island, so I don't share your guys' passion for it to become a live action. But I like Atlantis. I don't think that's Disney, though.
it is.
Atlantis. Oh, well, Atlantis.
Atlantis
I would
is
like
Disney?
Atlantis.
Yeah. Atlantis, the movie with Michael J. Fox and
Yeah.
Kiva. That's the one that I feel like that's weird that they're avoiding that one. Well, they're in talks. They've talked about doing Atlantis. But I'm like,
I loved Atlantis.
all these movies, y'all keep trying to race bend characters and add gay characters here and there because you didn't have them in the beginning. This is the one movie that has characters of color in it. And y'all ain't doing that one first.
Yeah, and like,
You don't have to make up nothing. They're just there.
yeah, that's and it's just a really good story, and it's fun, and it's cute, and it's like, why are you avoiding these like movies and like still making the remakes of the fairy tales? That's why I'm saying fairy tales need to die a little bit. They keep going back to the fairy. It's like, no, we get it. Cinderella has a happy ending. Hansel and Gretel kill the witch. We understand what's happening. Knock it off.
One I would love to see, just because I'm like curious what you could do with it. Like you were talking about an action movie. I think this would be a cool action movie. Paul Bunyan.
Oh.
Paul
Is he public
Bunyan
domain?
yeah. That'd be really cool.
Why
have a
haven't they
giant-
done a Paul Bunyan movie? It
Yeah,
would have to
man.
be done. It couldn't be like an action comedy. They would have to take it seriously, I feel like. With Paul
True.
I don't
Yeah.
feel like you can make that a serious movie.
Bunyan.
There's
What
just-
is his story? I just know that he's like a lumberjack.
Paul
he's, like,
Bunyan is
tall
a
or
giant
something.
lumberjack and a folk
Yeah.
hero in American and Canadian folklore. His exploits revolve around tall tales of his superhuman labors, and he's customarily made by Babe the Blue Ox.
Yeah, Babe the Blue Ox is like his pet that he has.
Yeah, and he made him out of stone.
How tall is he? How tall is Paul Bunyan?
Like a giant. I feel like you could do something
who
fun
could-
with it, but
Who would play
you know.
Paul Bunyan? I feel like Dwayne Johnson
Mm.
comes first to mind.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson's the first thought, but no.
I think Paul Bunyan lifting his eyebrows at me.
I would think of somebody like Nick Offerman be a fun Paul Bunyan.
Oh,
Oh, he would be perfect for that. Yeah, he
Yeah,
is kind of
that'd be
like Paul
fun.
Bunyan.
Mm-hmm.
Or what about a Ryan Reynolds?
No, because that'd just be Deadpool
No.
as Paul Bunyan. Like I'm not in the mood for his like same brand of humor. I love Ryan Reynolds. I think he's fantastic when he's like he's actually being a character. as of late, he's just been Ryan Reynolds in various movies.
Mm-hmm. And he's made so many cameos in so many
Yeah.
movies and TV shows. I saw him on a TV show the other day, and it was just like, oh, hey, it's Ryan Reynolds. Like, he is cameoing in everything. He
Well,
will
to be
not
fair, he
turn
does have
down a
like
check.
he has a lot of companies, so that's why he's in a lot of commercials.
Yeah. Although he said after what was the Christmas movie that he was just in with The Rock?
He was in a
Or not with The Rock.
With Will Ferrell.
With Will Ferrell. Spirited? Is that what it's called?
Spirited Away, I think it is. Maybe?
No, that's the Miyazaki film.
Oh. You're right. You right.
I can look it up.
My bad.
I didn't know he made a Christmas movie. Everybody makes Christmas movies.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that. It kind of came and went.
Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Spirited. Just Spirited.
Okay. I think he said after that movie he's going to take a little bit of a break.
Well, because he's doing Deadpool 3. That Deadpool 3 is not supposed to come out for like another like 2 or 3 years. So
he's still gonna pop out of places everywhere. Him and Channing Tatum, they like just cameo around.
Channing Tatum too. Yeah, Channing Tatum just pops up out of nowhere. When he was in Bullet Train, I was like, oh my god. Not in a bad way, just like of course, and of course, who else is a cameo in that movie? Ryan Reynolds, also in that.
I feel like they were both cameo each other.
They were both in Free Guy.
That's true.
Channing Tatum does a cameo in that.
To be fair, at least Ryan Reynolds stars in Free Guy. Channing Tatum's kind of like
yeah, but he's an actual character. He's not just like
I guess that's true. He is a character.
He does play a part because he's very informative to them, or he's the avatar to the guy who's being informative to them. Where in Bullet Train, both of them are just like there for a couple minutes and then say some weird ass shit or look badass walking away from an explosion.
A lot of these Greek stories are also on this list too, like the Iliad and the Odyssey. I would like to see modern day versions of those. I think it'd be fun. I think you could do a lot. I mean, it probably wouldn't. That's the only thing is there's a lot of public domain stories that the problem is most people are used to the epic blockbusters that are something like a Marvel movie. Or, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's why it's a surprise when something like a Top Gun Maverick does so well. Because there's not an explosion every 20 seconds. You know what I mean? And there's not like tons of CG on the screen. It's just a couple of guys and gals flying some jets. That's it. That's the movie. And it did well. So it's like, I would love to see another version of the Iliad and the Odyssey. But I don't know how well it would do because there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, but this is boring. Like, there's no where's like you would have to do it like kind of like 300 style, where you just start adding stuff that's not even in the story to make it more epic, just so you can make it more sellable as a blockbuster to get a bigger budget. Which is a shame because the Iliad and the Odyssey are already pretty epic on their own.
I don't know anymore because actually they found. Yeah, yes and no. It's very interesting. They're very good stories, but they found out the translation that we've all known for so long is actually very, very wrong and was tweaked. The people who originally translated it into English kind of changed so much of the story. So I don't know if I'd like to see the new version of the actual words that have been written by the Odyssey, which, by the way, contains a lot more prostitutes than people think. Or like the same one, we had to read in high school. Going on that, I'd love to see like a better version of King Arthur. I feel like we've gotten a lot of versions of them, but as of late, they haven't been very good. The one
they were trying to blockbuster it up.
Yeah, but it's like the one. What's the actor's name? He's blonde and he was in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, is it Charlie Hunnam?
I'm not sure, but he put it was, the movie's called Arthur.
But Guy Ritchie made it. That's what I know about that movie. That's Guy Ritchie's King Arthur.
It was so boring. The entire thing was so boring, and the guy during the entire movie is like, "I don't want to be king. I don't want to be king." And then the people are like, "You have to be king." And like, there's one person who's like, "He can't be king," and he's like, "He's right. I can't be king. I don't want to be king." And then at the end of the movie, he's like, I'm king. And it's like, the whole time you could have literally walked away from these people. Like, you were bigger than most of them, sir. You're a very large man. You could have just pushed them and walked out. And just the whole plot line was so boring and so sad. I'm like, I like the King Arthur story. I used to love that growing up. And I know it's not the best interpretation, but I really love Merlin, okay? The BBC one. I don't care what anybody says.
It's not good.
I still love it. It's a better version. It's a better version than most, like, as of late.
Listen, the worst version of Merlin will always be the version of Merlin that was in Transformers, right? Like the Legend of the Knights or whatever the stupid ass subtitle was for that trash movie. Like that last Transformers, Michael Bay Transformers movie.
That trailer was so confusing because I saw like various scenes from the trailer and suddenly they were like in the Old West and then they were in this time and then they were I was like, what the hell is going on with this movie? I was like, is there time travel? What is going on? No, they just lived forever and affected human history, but yet still never were discovered until Shia LaBeouf's character found them.
That's because they made that up for that movie. The first movie is the first time the Transformers come, and we know that because they literally fly in from meteors down to the ground. So we're seeing them land for the first time. And then they try to retcon, like, actually, no, they've been here the whole time. And the movie lost me when it was showing pictures of people who have interacted with Transformers. And on that list of people was Frederick Douglass and Harriet friggin' Tubman. And I'm like, are you kidding me? What are you trying to say? There's a Transformers train that was on the actual Underground Railroad out here shipping slaves away from the Decepticons?
I totally forgot about that. And I'm mad at you now for triggering that memory.
What do you think they were trying to do? This topic during Black History Month, and as you two are black men, what do you think they were trying to do? Do you think they were trying to like be like, we were part of Black history and we were on the right side? Let's make sure that's a thing. Let's make sure nobody thought we were fighting on the other side of the Civil War. We want to make it very clear. Or do you think they were like, well, let's just add in these two, black historians and like we'll see how it goes from there. Two major events.
Come on, y'all, let's hop on this here robot and get on out of here on this plantation.
It's like, why did they should have just gone all the way and suggested that that like the Transformers were fighting the Nazis. Right. Just put yourself on all the best sides of history.
Transformers aren't very good because like that shit still went on for many generations.
They opened cans of worms they should not have opened.
Yeah, so like y'all saw that.
It's like, so
and
it
then
took
y'all continued.
400 years?
It's right, to free all the slaves. All you had to do was literally walk in and just start slaughtering humans left and right. Just like shut the boats down. Right, y'all can fly.
So either y'all weren't good at it, or y'all just jumped on the bandwagon too late in the game.
Yeah, then you had a good point. They didn't really help in World War II apparently, either. They kind of let everything happen. They're like, well, it's human business. Really? Do you see we're not clearly doing good?
Last character that I think would be interesting to see, like for me, I think would be interesting to see in public domain, like them do something with, is freaking. Even though I know we've gotten a recent version, but still, King Kong. I would like to see like them do some different stuff with King Kong. Like, because right now we're doing the same stuff we always do, have him fight giant monsters and then like all that stuff. But I think it'd be cool if like maybe they have like a thing where it's like, I don't know, like King Kong in space or something.
And I feel like King Kong is tricky because he's like in and out of the public domain. Because I remember looking this up for work, like his likeness or whatever is not in the public domain, but another aspect of him is not. It's really weird. And
that's what I mentioned earlier about like public domain not not meaning exactly what public domain means.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, it's the story. Well, no, it's actually just the character. The story you can free to use and just take out the character and it's cool. Oh, but the characters are cool, but you can't use their stories. You know, it's this whole like, is this story and are these characters public domain, or have you picked apart the stories and now you have to like decide what is and what not? And that's where those like little loopholes and legalities come in, where they're like, oh, we're gonna sue you because you used the likeness. Well, they're like, well, no, the story is public domain, not the character. And that's how like Tinkerbell is still not public domain, but Peter Pan is. It's those weird little legalities. I could see that, because isn't there another giant ape that's very destructive of cities with King Kong?
Well, I mean, there's like the only ones I can think of is like Rampage was a thing, but that's based off a video game. Mighty Joe Young, which is a movie nobody's talked about in years.
I have not even heard of it.
It's a Disney movie about a giant ape. It's not good.
Fair enough.
Like, it's all right at best.
So the short answer is, I just looked up an article. The short answer is King Kong's original novelization is in the public domain. However, several companies and estates own the rights to certain versions accumulated from a lengthy history of copyright tennis. So Warner, RKO, like, still own aspects of King Kong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are the fun little loopholes where it's like, they can still get you. They'll get you when you use a story, and if they don't like the version of it. For me, the last character I would like to see a new like version of, I think, would be the Pied Piper, because he's public domain and his story is a lot darker than people remember it sometimes.
Oh, it's very dark.
It's very dark. He takes the children and kills them, basically.
Yeah,
his parents are greedy.
It's a classic tale of, hey, listen, pay your debts.
It's also the fuck around and find out. You really didn't want to pay me? Fine.
Yeah, for real.
It's a fuck around and find out story.
For real.
Y'all
thought it was playing? Okay.
Yeah. And I think a modern version of that almost would be kind of cool, like going to a small town and they're trying to clear this out or that, or kind of even like making the Pied Piper into kind of like even a Witcher, where they hire him to like help out and everything, and then he's like, hey, well, this is what's gonna happen now. Children are gonna become little mutants like me or something. I think the Pied Piper has so much more promise than people think. And because it's such a short story too, but there's a lot in there that can be used. So yeah,
you
the
could
Pied
do a
Piper
great
is something
thing where
I
it's like a mix between Pied Piper and Puss in Boots, like in like the same movie. That could be really cool.
Speaking of, I heard the Puss in Boots movie is excellent.
It's been nominated for.
I want to watch it. It looks so cute. I have my own.
My girlfriend watched it. She said it was really good, so I'm excited to see it.
I don't really have a last title for me, but I was just thinking about, there's a website that I've talked about on here before called Hit Record, founded by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and basically you can create anything, collaborate with people around the world on different projects, movies, short films, animations, songs, whatever. And basically the concept of the website, anything you upload either has to be your original work or already in the public domain, because it can be remixed and recreated with credit, of course, and used in other people's projects, or you could use anything for your unique project. So I remember when I was doing the Virtual Monuments Project, all of the stuff that I had to look for had to either be on the website or in public domain. So me or the website didn't get sued. So that's that the whole website is essentially like that concept of being in the public domain and using resources from different aspects of different stories or media to create a new thing.
Sure, I like Hit Record. I got on that website. I haven't really uploaded anything. I kind of haven't had the time, but I would like to start working on it more. And that's where you did that like awesome, like what almost was like a quarantine play. on there. Or was that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Was that
that
record?
yeah.
Yeah. I watched
Wait.
that during my.
Oh no, that was for my acting class.
Oh, that was for your acting class. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember both those. Actually, no, I remember now. They hit record video now. Both of those I watched at my day job. So I mean, clearly that's where I watch a lot of stuff now. With your play, that was funny because I was so worried because it was like over Zoom. I
Right.
was worried I didn't have them. I kept double checking my mic because as soon as the play started, a call came in and I'm like, hello. Okay. I like kept doing that because I'm like, oh god, they're gonna hear
I
me.
mean, you've done better than that one time we went to that play with Rob. And he had that can of beer he brought, and just like Jonathan was in it.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, was that? I remember when you guys all went 99 Tropes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were there, just like trying to see, like secretly open it. And he's like, I was like, what the?
It was so loud, and
you
you were on the set
on
too.
the thing.
You were like on stage too, so we're like, oh shit, Jonathan's definitely gonna know we're all here now. Because like we were trying to do a little surprise and be supportive, and then like
yeah, that was when you feel like an embarrassed parent, because all these people were looking back like.
Because he also did it during like a silent scene where like everybody's pausing for dramatic effect, and that's when he's like, "This is a good time to open a can. Perfect timing." It's like you could have waited. There was a lot of shouting in one of the scenes, I remember. But did you ever hear that can on stage?
I do not remember hearing it. No, I remember hearing you guys like during intermission, talking and stuff. So I knew you guys were there. I could like hear you on the other side talking.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think I mostly heard Kaylee's voice.
Yeah, Kaylee. I was like, my voice travels. Kaylee has a very boisterous laugh.
I think it is. At least the original version, Grand Duchess Anastasia of Russia, is in the public domain. Yes,
that's always been my favorite. Like
the
princess story.
Is that a nonfiction book? The Grand Duchess Anastasia of Russia.
It's a historical fiction.
Oh, okay.
Because it is based off the Romanovs and a certain event that occurred that would have separated. And I think it was like a rumor that there was the little girl who survived everything, what happened with the Romanovs, and that, she's the princess of Russia or, stuff like that. But nobody ever found out if it was true or not. Or I don't know. I don't actually know the full real story. I just remember the cartoon movie, and that was always my favorite thing. I still sing that song all the time where she's dancing in the ballroom. That is like one of the songs you'll just hear me like humming around. I'd like to see a more not modern. I absolutely don't want to see whatever they're modern trying to do, but I think I would like to see like a live action version of that. I know there's a play, and I'm dying for that to come to Seattle. Why it's not coming to Seattle, I don't know, but I'm still holding on to hope. So that would be definitely something I wouldn't mind seeing a live action with. I think unless they make it really gaudy, it's kind of a hard story to ruin, and it's one of those pretty like, rags to riches, but then you give it all up for love, which is kind of stupid, but people all have their own priorities.
So those are some of our picks of things we'd like to see in the public domain and public domain stories that we're interested in. Comment below. Tell us, audience, what public domain stories you would like to see, or if you have a pitch of what you think would be a cool public domain character or book that would make a great TV show or movie or I don't know, comic book even. Like, comment below, tell us what you think.
Yes. And it is time for socials.
Socials.
Where can people find you?
I am at not Jerome Rhett on Instagram, as well as at RoboZoo Media and at Jerome_the_show, where you can find other stuff I'm working on. In fact, actually, I can announce my short story for DC Comics finally coming out. It'll be out May 20th on shelves in a compilation book, along with me and the other 23 Milestone Initiative cohort that I am a part of. So support all of them. And in fact, you can pick some of their stuff up now picking up DC Power #1 that's already out. Some of the Milestone Initiative folks have already started working on that. So, like have their works in that, including Morgan Hampton working on Cyborg, my fellow artist friend Peterson Oliveira, who's done some art in that book too. So pick up both of those when they come. Well, pick up the one when it comes out May 20th, but pick up DC Power now. You can go to your local comic book store and get it right now. But as far as things for the First Ones to Die, if you want other content that you can't get on all the streaming services and stuff like that, go on over to the YouTube channel at The First Ones to Die to see all the fun stuff we got going on here that is cool and interesting, like mini reviews, book reviews, gaming videos, vlogs, all types of stuff. It's all over there. So go over there, and video versions also of all the podcasts. So if you want to see our beautiful faces, go on over there, check that out. Alex, you go.
Okay. You can find me at Alex and Nobody on Instagram and on TikTok. And the TikTok is also where you can find the podcast, The First Ones to Die, where I post little clips of the shows, humorous things we have done, give you heads up to shows shows, movies, or other topics we may be reviewing or talking about ahead of time, as well as little clips of me, talking about the shows or movies or whatever I'm watching at the time. And, just having fun. Come join us over there. And what about you, Jonathan? What you doing? Where you at?
Yes, you can find me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. Please follow us at The First Ones to Die everywhere. You can email us, thefirstones2die@gmail.com. We'd love to get your feedback. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. If you're listening to us on audio, go ahead and give us 5 stars and a review. We would love to know your feedback, and it would help us out greatly.
Next week, Ant-Man. See what I did there? Because he's so small that his voice gets all high. It's all Ant-Man. So Ant-Man the Wasp. Quantumania is the next review. We will be there next week to talk about it. You're probably already talking about it now, but you're just gonna have to wait for our review. So sit back,
watch it again before next week.
Yeah, watch it again so that way you can be refreshed up, and then the next Monday you can come right back here and listen to some podcast goodness as we talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And how Jonathan Majors is clearly going to stomp Paul Rudd, because you've seen that man's muscles. The man's got muscles, all type of muscles. It's kind of scary, actually. He's too big. You don't need to be that big. You should kick him out of the gym.
Bunyan.
Jonathan Majors could play Paul Bunyan. He's big enough, that's for sure.
He's a giant man. Yeah. All right. He's Paul Bunyan. There we go.
We've
making it happen. Officially. Yeah. We know
now
the
just
lead.
To write the script and get a studio on board.
Start with the script first. Until then, we will see you all next time. Bye.
All right, bye everyone.
Go on over to the YouTube channel at The First Ones to Die to see all the fun stuff we got going on here, like mini reviews, book reviews, gaming videos, vlogs, all types of stuff.
Please follow us at The First Ones to Die everywhere. Go ahead and give us a like and subscribe.